I cut hair and I play records for a living. That might not sound glamorous to some people, but to me it's kind of everything, you know? And my family eats off of it, so that's perfect. Birmingham Classic Cuts is a barbershop inside of Seasick Records that I co-own with Newman Evans. A barbershop is, I mean, it's a natural thing. Like hip hop's about being fresh. Even if your clothes aren't the best, like you wear them a certain way, you tilt your hat a certain way, you move a certain way, like it's a flavor. I did start playing instruments really early on. When my dad would go to different churches to preach, he would make me bring my guitar. He would write these Christian songs, and he used to listen to like these Argentinian like funk like groups from back in the day, and then he'd say, I want you to do that solo in here. And I'm like, Dad, is God cool with this? Because I am, this slaps, you know? Like, I remember wanting to make hip hop, and I was just passionate about it. I didn't know music well enough to know that they were sampling. So my buddy and I back home somehow convinced our pastor to let us record in the church. Shout out to her, because like she was really progressive for her time. So we started trying to play like songs from A Tribe Called Quest, like the Beat Nuts, and when we finished, popped the tape in and we would listen to it, we were both like, this is just awful. Like we suck. Like why can't we get these sounds? Just by chance one time, I turned it off and we turned on the radio, and you know when you're young, you want to be as you want to sound as impressive as possible. So we're like, let's throw on the jazz station, you know, because we're that much cooler than everybody else, which we weren't, obviously. But I know this song came on, and it blew my mind. I turned it up all the way because in the background of the song, I can hear a sample to a hip hop record, and I was just like, oh snap, that's what it is. For hip hop it's like a collage of sounds, right? My process starts with looking for records. So I find records that either look interesting, and after you learn about different musicians and different sounds, you start recognizing the players on the record, like, okay, so-and-so played keys on this or bass on this. So you start developing an eye for finding records and an ear for it as well. So you run it through your sampler, and you find like little pieces that speak to you. Chop it up is what we call it. It's just basically, I guess, truncating the sounds, and you add drums to it, and you add sometimes other records that kind of match the tones or the BPMs and stuff like that. It's really nerdy, which is funny because hip hop is such a like aggressive, like cool thing, you know? And then once I bounce it into my laptop from my sampler, I start playing instruments over it. It kind of makes you feel like you're a part of something bigger. Like, you know, if you take 6 seconds from like a jazz band, like, you know, for those 6 seconds, you're part of that band, you know, and you're also the band leader because you've reconstructed it and, you know, done something different. That's one way to look at it. The whole time that I've been making music is I'm just really kind of trying to capture like a feeling, right? As humans, like we go through so many emotions, and I work really fast. I don't sit and look for sounds for too long. I find something that made me feel a certain way, I commit to it, and I try to get it done as quickly as possible. And it's not always the cleanest, and it's not always the best. Sometimes I don't even track things out. I just record it all at once, and I'm okay with that. You know, I don't need it to sound perfect, because again, the goal is to capture that moment, that feeling. DJing or spinning records in front of a crowd and playing my beats in front of a crowd are two totally different things. Like DJing is all about, you're playing one record here and you're listening to this side on your headphones, and you're just trying to match a snare to this one. And once the snares match, you can let it go, and you have like a marriage of two records at one time, which is insane. As an artist, I'm super hard on myself. So, you know, I don't talk too much about the stuff I'm working on, mainly because I just want to see it come to fruition first. And then once it's done, then I'll share. The music I make is just really for myself. And though I want people to hear it, it's still a very personal thing. My dad passed away and I made a project for him. It's called Cross and Switchblade. I went to Los Angeles when he got sick. It was like a time capsule of that first week. I can't listen to it, but somebody who I know lost their dad recently and called me and said, hey man, I listened to that album, I understood it, I know exactly what it's about, thank you. So that's my favorite record. That's my most personal record, and I'm super proud of it. I think it's my best work, for sure. It's funny how like your spirit will speak to you and ask you to create sometimes. In the beginning, when you start working on music, you know, you're gonna emulate everything that all your favorite artists do. Once you get past that point, then you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, but let me like personalize this sound a little bit more and let me be honest with who I am, and that can't be bad because it comes from you, right?